Hello, welcome to Star Wars Spelt Out. I'm your host, Josh Chapman, and today, it's holidays. Well, for some of us, it's holidays. But let's just get her in, and let's just catch up on all the things that have been going on in the world. And hasn't been on for a while. Usually pretty solid, but hasn't been invited back, so she's probably don't know what's going on. But let's get her in. Catherine Kneen,
Holidays.
who is on holiday.
Celebrate. Yeah, school's out for September.
Yeah, I'm not on holidays, but we do have a holiday on Friday. It is grand final week here in Australia, notably Victoria, notably Melbourne. So we get a public holiday for the day before the football.
For a parade, technically.
Yeah, that is true, actually. Have you ever been to a grand final parade?
Nope. No.
The only one I ever went to was in 1997, and it was Adelaide versus St Kilda. And I'm not quite sure why I was at that one, but I was there for that one. And that's like Essendon had been in a parade since then, in two grand final parades from that time when I didn't go to them. And I happened to be in the city one time when it was on. I didn't attend, but it was sort of happening around me. Now it's all down near the MCG. It's not in the city anymore. So you got to sort of seek it out.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've even been to an AFL match.
I think you've ever been to a parade.
Yeah.
Have you never been to an AFL match?
No, I've been to the local things with my brother and nephews and so forth. But
Yep. Is that just a
no.
crowds thing, or is it just you just haven't been invited?
Probably a bit of both.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll
Yeah.
fix that next season because we do actually
It's
both
too
barrack
cold.
Well, there is that. We do barrack for the same team, so
Yeah.
we'll get you down. Well, I can get you into the members' pavilion because Kat is a member, so it is a little bit more cushy in there. We'll see if we can find it. We'll find a thing and get it in there, and you can. I can't guarantee we'll win though. Sorry.
No.
Less said
Anyway,
about less said about that, the better.
Go Fitzroy.
Yeah, so it is Brisbane versus Sydney or Fitzroy versus South Melbourne. Before you talk about teams that relocated, just to put a little stamp on it. Although we might as well just go into it now and lead up to the connection. 2 years ago, Andor came out, which is very apt for having you on, which was in grand final week. I think you came over and we watched the first three episodes of Andor here. And that was during grand final week. So I always now associate grand final week with Andor.
Well, it is the grandest. Yeah, it's sort of funny seeing those tweets going around of 2 years ago. Andor was premiering, and it's like, oh my God, 2 years. So much has changed. And
take you back to a heady time. Now, that was still post-pandemic. Obviously, if you were around at my house, if you'd visited, we must have been out of the pandemic.
Well, we'll just say we were post-lockdowns at that point.
Yeah, that's actually probably true.
Yeah, 2022, they didn't have any lockdowns 2022. We had big ones in 2020 and 2021, like multiple little ones in 2021 as well. Like it was at the point with 2021 where every night I'd pack up everything on my desk to take it home
Just
because it was that I didn't know if I was going in the next day and how long I would be locked down for.
That's so weird.
And it happened
about that.
Yeah, it happened a few times that at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the morning, we got this right from midnight tonight. We're going into lockdown. It's like, right, okay.
It was funny because we had this
pivot again.
It was, it sucked, but it actually was well enough ran that we always kind of knew for the most part what we were aiming towards in order to get out. And then early on, it was like, how many cases we were in, and they would come out every morning, and the Premier would come out and be like, well, we had X amount of cases and blah, blah, blah. And I just remember we were like whittling it down, going, all right, if we get to X amount, we'll be able to reduce the restrictions and blah, 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 and get out. And then the second time around, it was based on vaccination numbers. As soon as we get X amount of people vaccinated, we can get out, blah, blah, blah. I just remember those early ones, like we got it out, we got out. And then something happened. And it was like, oh, well, all the numbers are flown back out. We're all back in again. Like, oh my God. Like it's been like days and weeks going, oh, it's down to 10. It's, down to 2 cases a day. And yeah, oh my goodness me. But yeah, no, Andor definitely came after that. And so we hit the 2 years of that. So
yeah, because we were at Celebration Anaheim in late May 2022. Saw Kenobi, and then Andor later that year, September.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Because I keep thinking of because it was originally 2020, wasn't it? And then it was 20. We didn't really know, and then it was 20, and then they moved the date again. I've forgotten about that. Remember they moved the date it was the Kenobi premiere date they moved.
Well, they moved the Kenobi premiere date.
They did move the date, didn't they? Because it was in April or something, and then they moved it to May or whatever it was. Yeah,
it was originally August 2022.
That's right.
And then they moved to May, and all us Australians were freaking out because, ScoMo, like the week before, in the budget had been saying that Australians' borders wouldn't open for us until like mid-2022. We're like, what the hell?
Oh, that's right.
What the
hell?
We
just met it 2.5 months, 3 months earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. And you and I were holding out going, it'll happen. It'll happen. From my cold, dead hands, will you take my celebration badge?
Yeah. And we did, to be fair, we got out. God, I've forgotten about it. I have to go back. I don't really listen to this. Well, I don't listen to this podcast after it comes out. Rarely even listen to it once I've recorded it, unless I need to check something or I think there might be an audio issue. But yeah, that'd be interesting. I remember one I should go back and listen to was right at the start of the pandemic. I did one with Luke Cruiser from formerly of the Bad Motivators. Yeah. Well, once a bad motivator, always a bad motivator.
Yeah.
And I think we did that roughly around when it was all starting to go down. And I think we kind of joke about wouldn't it be funny if Celebration got cancelled or we couldn't travel or everybody had to wear face masks at Celebration and all those things.
Yep.
And yeah, I'll have to go back and listen to that. I know Cruiser doesn't do Bad Motivers anymore, but we have been in touch and he has sort of said he'll come on at some stage again. So I should get Cruiser back on, catch up with find out where he's up to.
Yeah. Yeah. It is funny going back listening to things made around that time, like late 2019, early 2020, of people going, this COVID thing, what's that all about?
I remember watching an episode of AFL 360, which is a very local thing. It's basically a nightly AFL football show, and there's 2 hosts. And it was at the start of the season where it was all going on. It hadn't quite kicked off yet, but it was looking bad. And there's basically 2 hosts, Jared and Robbo, and Jared's the intellectual and Robbo's the blowhard. And he's just like, well, bloody, what is this thing? They won't, it won't affect the footy, will it? It won't. And Jared's just like, yeah. It could completely derail the whole season, which is exactly what would happen. And that was the first moment where I was like, oh, man, Jared Wheatley thinks that it might affect things. If it's going to affect the footy season, it must be getting serious.
Yeah, it's sort of an odd time to look back on. But anyway, 2 years ago, Andor.
Yeah. I remember my overwhelming thing about Andor, as I remember, was... we'll come around the house and we'll watch it. And what we'll do is we'll do a little podcast in between and we'll chit chat about it. I think we might have even filmed I said, we'll film it. We'll put a camera in there and we'll film our reactions. And it'll be interesting. Not that we really do reactions. I thought it might be interesting to do. I think that footage is long gone now. But I just remember that we were so... And I know that you were really hyped for it as well. So I was expecting Catherine hyped, sort of going, this will be amazing audio visual because Catherine's just going to lose her mind and it's going to be, really, really great. I just remember we were so enthralled that all the footage of us is just kind of staring at the screen.
Yeah.
There was no sort of it was all just this is so good.
Yeah. It's just mouth agape, staring and us leaning forward, I think.
Yeah, completely boring footage.
Yeah. And, I think we, broke between episodes to sort of discuss it. And it was just this.
Just, we better get on to the next one.
Yeah. And and totally not what we were expecting either, because obviously I think in our predictions we'd always envisaged something a bit different. I think everyone was.
I think
Um,
we kind of felt, oh, it'll, tonally it'll be more serious and
yeah,
all that kind of stuff. But I just don't think we quite grasped how
no,
good and gripping it would be. Um, yeah, I'd have to go
yeah.
back. I should dig that up, or somebody who hasn't, somebody else go back to the back catalogue and find it. Um, but
The one that, you know, should have had the audio visual reaction would be at the end of episode 9 with never more than 12, because I was screaming and running around the house.
yeah, yeah.
That
Well, it was funny because after we sort of watched the first ones, you know, not that you've got your own life and stuff, but I think it was very much like I think I need to just watch this in the comfort of my home without
yeah,
any, it's still a mission. Oh, it's still a good half an hour drive to get to my house from your house, so it's not that you can just sort of pop over. But at the same time, it was, and also I've got little kids, so sometimes the times and stuff is you can't necessarily. You're like, no, I have to be sat down and ready to roll at this time to go. And the thing is, with Andor season 2, if this continues, it will probably drop, midday, the Ahsoka sort of acolyte time. So
yeah.
you, of all people, will probably be living in this world where Andor is out and you're still grinding away behind the desk or grinding away on the chalkboard.
Yeah, like marking or doing something. It's just going to be rough, because one of the reasons why I had to watch Andor pretty much as it dropped was people tagging me almost,
Mm.
and just the feeds being,
And the profile's only gotten
yeah,
bigger in the last 2 years as well, Catherine. So you are one of the internet's premier Andor enthusiasts. So there is no doubt about that. So also, when the promotion starts ramping up, we get some dates. If you're listening, Disney, let's throw a bone to Catherine. Let's get a local screening going, or throw her a box of goodies or something like that. Every now and then, I don't, on Star Wars Twitter, occasionally I'll see somebody going, "Oh, look, I got a box of Star Wars Lego in the mail." I'm looking at that person going like, "Oh, I don't even know who that is." Not that it really matters. Like, I can see it if sort of really high profile people get it, and every now and then I'm like,
yeah,
they're gonna throw some Andor t-shirts to Catherine.
yeah. Like, I've been out there spreading the good name of Andor
Spreading the
since
good word.
mid 2020, something like that.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
So you are on holidays. So you spent your holiday today watching Lego. I forgot what it's called. Universe rebuild the universe,
Rebuilt the galaxy.
rebuild the galaxy. I should know this. I have actually watched this twice now because I watched it when it came out, whenever it was, a week or two ago. Just sort of got up in the morning and didn't have to get out of bed, and I was like, oh, I'll just pop that in. And everybody seems to be enjoying it. And then Sloane wanted to watch it, my youngest daughter, like completely unprompted. I was doing something and she's been sick, so she'd been on the couch for a few days. And I just walked in and she just started watching it. I'm going, oh, did you pick that? She's like, yeah. So she sat there and she watched it, and I kind of dipped in and out and watched it again. So yeah, it landed pretty well with her, although she hasn't actually finished the original trilogy yet. So there are a lot of references and characters in there that she didn't know. She kept thinking that Rey was Princess Leia until Princess Leia turned up, which is an easy mistake to make. And, there was a lot of other things that she didn't even know had happened yet. So, but it didn't seem to quell her enjoyment.
Oh, that's good. That's good, because it's definitely, Lego can definitely do just stuff. They can just do whatever, and no one seems to be worried about,
Not a lot of YouTube
war or anything.
not a lot of YouTubers getting outraged about breaking canon in Star Wars Lego. I mean, not that I'm seeking them out. I'm sure somebody's probably complained about something, but it's a pretty long bow if you're kind of going, oh, how dare they disrespect Darth Maul like that?
Oh, yeah. Uh, just off the charts. But I did like, there was a little Andor reference, the only one. I noticed that the rebel prisoners had Narkina 5 uniforms.
Ah, I know that was going to ask you. No, I said there wasn't no Cassian didn't turn up in it,
No.
but that's good. A nice little nod. So yeah, some things got more love than others, but I felt like there was a lot of. I'm sure there's plenty of other Easter eggs. I'd have to go through and watch a breakdown video or something like that, and get it all. But most of the references I got, I was Captain America in getting those references and things like that. And the thing that I liked the most was we got a fully fledged Australian Star Wars character.
Servo. Yeah,
That
Servo.
is amazing. Now, 99% of people who watch that, it will completely go over their heads why that droid is called Servo. It cannot be a coincidence. Do you want to tell people what a servo is, Catherine?
Well, in Australia, a petrol station is called, or a gas station is called a service station, which, of course, us being Australian, we call the servo. So a servo provides power. Gonk droids are power droids.
It's perfect.
QED, servo is a gonk droid.
I thought that was great. And I really, really liked that. I thought it was a perfect name. I like the gong droid. The guy who does the voice, I haven't got the name in, but I did look him up. I'm just going to look up the thing that I'm using as a reference here. God, I can't spell.
Servo was my favourite character in it. Yeah. Yes, Catherine likes droids and animals the best again.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's a fellow called Michael Cusack who has done a lot of animation stuff, and he did a show that I really like, which I think is on Disney Plus. You can watch, called Koala Man, which is a pretty off the wall Australian animation about a local guy who wants to be a superhero. And there's an amazing episode actually written by Nina Oyama, which has kind of got stuff to do with the Wiggles, which is quite, if you're looking at it, it's quite good. Very, very good actually. Who's a sort of a favourite of ours. And he's just got this sort of thick Australian accent. He's just got an Australian accent really.
Yeah.
But, it's not your typical Australian Star Wars, I'm going to say, I think they said Lars Ulrich, like the drummer from Metallica, Owen Lars, or Joe Edgerton, or like an Australian actor playing with a different accent. I mean, Mendo's kind of the closest because his accent slips a couple of times.
It's definitely an Australian accent, but that he occasionally tries to posh up. Make it more that, was it?
And I think they kind of retconned that in canon, didn't they? To kind of say, he's a bit working class.
Yeah.
He's kind of tried to posh his accent up a little bit.
Yeah. But we know Mendo can do perfect British accent or American accent because, that's what he does. So it was a choice.
Yeah.
And a choice I completely agree with. I think the servo accent, while identifiably Australian, was perhaps juiced a little bit. I think it went
a little bit. Yeah. But this is the as far as I can tell, this is the first. I mean, it's not live action, is it? But
no.
As far as I could tell, like proper full Australian accent in Star Wars. Now there is a character in, and I'm sure there's stuff that's popped up occasionally and stuff, but there's a character in the Jedi Survivor games. So the Fallen Order or Survivor, who's like a bounty hunter, and it's the character, is it Kit Fisto? The dude with the tentacles. That species, and it's like a lady.
Okay.
And she's got a full Australian accent. And I'm pretty sure the lady who does that voice is quite a famous video games voice, because I've recognised the voice. She turns up in all sorts of stuff. So they've just got her to voice, and she uses her Australian accent in that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the closest to the most, blatant Australian accent in stuff, because, you've got plenty of New Zealand accents.
Yeah. I think, young Baru, what's her name? Bonnie
Weiss.
Yeah. Yeah. Her accent is a bit more Australian, she's not really hiding the Australian much from memory. I mean, Jack Thompson speaking in a quote-unquote American accent is hilarious.
It sounds completely fake, doesn't it?
It is hilarious.
She was my wife. There is a deleted scene in on the Revenge of the Sith DVDs, and there's like a couple of scenes where Padme is kind of got these bunch of senators together. Have you seen these before? And she's kind of like
Yes.
going, "Hey, let's like get some senators," and it's kind of implying it's the start of the rebellion. There's one of the actors in that is an Indigenous actor, Australian Indigenous actor, and I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he is completely just talking with his normal accent, and he's got a thick Australian slash
Cool.
Indigenous accent. I'd have to. I'm sure it's on YouTube. I'm not going to pull it
Yeah.
up now, but that is. I'm like, well, that is. He is not even trying to hide that accent in that bit. He might only have a couple of lines, or will say a few things, but that's kind of feels like the only, and that's live action. So that probably
Yeah.
like supersedes Servo. But let's get the Servo merch going. Let's lean into this. We are a prominent Australian Star Wars podcast. There aren't that many of us. There's um,
Yeah. We've got cred.
we got credit. I saw something on Twitter the other day where some person made some awful Star Wars take or was really mean to someone, and they were Australian. I was like, oh, that's embarrassing, because they had like a little
Yeah.
Australian flag. I was like, oh, I didn't even realize they're out there.
It's
But
like, dude, we're meant to be the cool
yeah,
ones.
we don't
Like
need that. Yeah,
we're meant to be like the chill, just whatevs, get on with everybody, you know, not be dicks about everything.
we probably should lean into it more. Really, I mean, I don't even know any other. I mean, there's this one in your quasi Star Wars podcast, and it's probably just friends of ours. And I mean, there's the Ray side. She doesn't really do podcast. She's a prominent YouTuber though, and I mean Steele obviously, but he's kind of incontinent. He's kind of continental or intercontinental, isn't he? International Steele.
Yeah.
Would he classify himself as an Australian podcast? Yes or no? Have to ask him that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So maybe we need to lean in on Servo. Maybe Servo needs to be the unofficial mascot. Make sure he appears in some more things. Get him into canon. Get him into live action. Can it happen? Probably not. Because he only talks in this other dimension now, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. But theoretically, I mean, they just put in a language circuit or something, so yeah, he could speak,
Mm.
and droids could speak in any voice or accent as
I
could
just liked it.
anyone
Did you
really.
watch the episode? It's like the second or third episode. You know, they had the like, do. They had the little animation at the start.
Yeah.
And then he comes up and he's just like, all right, get ready for some Star Wars or something. Some kind of like, he's like, I was like, oh, this is great. I'm loving this. I'm really enjoying the leaning into it. So
I think everyone does love a gonk droid.
yeah. I thought it was good fun. You know, like you
Yeah.
said, it means nothing. It's just a good little watch. It's kind of it's all over the shop. It's pretty frenetic, but it good. More Star Wars, the better. And
Yeah.
we got a little Australian dude to get in there, which is good. Not completely related, but down this end of the world, it sounds like the Taika's been slowly retired. Is he getting the put on the little not quite dead but not saying anything little shelf?
Yeah, it's not been mentioned for a long time.
When
Um,
when was
and
that
that
announcement? Post Thor Ragnarok, I think, but pre
yeah,
Thor Love and Thunder. So probably pre-pandemic.
yeah, when they announced just lots of stuff. Um, obviously wasn't announced in the slate that there was announced at London. Um,
That's
so
right, because we were all
they've
kind of waiting for it and nothing, nothing got going.
yeah,
And I think he was actually in the UK as well. Wasn't there some sort of social media thing or something where he was nearby? And we're going, oh well, obviously he'll come. And it's like, nah. We're like to go out there and say nothing's happening.
awkward. Yeah, so all those movies that were announced in London, you would hope that they are in some stage of development. Obviously, the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, well, on it's actually filming, so I think that's actually going to be here. Um, I think the Ray one, that feels also, yes, it's going to start soon because there's being a lot of talk about it,
Daisy
and
Ridley's
it's
still
just
talking Yep.
Model sort of feels like a scheduling thing.
Yep.
Um, I hope that we still get the, way back when Jedi one.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I just don't know. And I remember thinking this at the time. I just don't know where he would fit, and not necessarily style wise. And I think all along we kind of said, hey, if you got to let the eagle fly.
yeah,
If you're going to hire Taika Waititi, you get Taika Waititi. Like if you don't want that, you can't box him in, and it's kind of pointless doing that. And I think people got a bit spooked when obviously he did Love and Thunder and it got a bit more wackadoo, and people were like, oh well, he's done. He's not always cracked up to it. It's like, well, you Batman Returns it. You lent into the artist's vision more, and you got something that was more extreme, and that's not what you're there for. But I think story. I really honestly think they're just not can't find a story. Like, well, you can't go. He's not going forward because that's taken care of. It's not going back because that's taken care of. He's not really got it. He's not doing the Mandalorian stuff because Jon Favreau's doing that, even though he's done a show. So you're kind of going, oh, maybe he could have done that. So would he have to do a character particular one for it to fit? Or does it have to be completely
sideways?
Is it like another sideways? And then what is it? Is it standalone because it doesn't have any impacts? Or it just kind of felt like it was hard to see where he would fit into that.
Yeah, and I mean, we don't know all the behind the scenes stuff, but it'd be good to have a side view, like that sort of lower decks almost kind of.
Well, yeah, if you need to get as low, if you want to let him soar and play to his strengths, you've kind of got to get him to a point where he can't really butt up against anything, or kind of, if he's going to be a bit silly or do something a bit different. It's like, well, we can't do between Empire and Jedi because all of a sudden it's, I think this sounds crazy. You know what I think he'd actually be really good at is an Ewok movie. Like a Caravan of Courage kind of focus, but almost like more like the Ewok cartoon where they talk. Like it's almost going, all right, in this context, it's more like the Ewok cartoon, and they can have conversations. It's not just like with subtitles. Yeah, but I think that would actually, because you could be a bit silly. You could play into the thing, and you could have an adventure on Endor, and you could do all of that. And I think that something like that would actually suit him really well. It would could be high stakes enough in that context, but low enough stakes in the case of Star Wars, and you could be a bit weird. And the fact that the Ewoks were talking in it, like you could literally just do like the Wicket adventures. You could get Warwick Davis to be Wicket, like he was at the end of Rise of Skywalker with his son, and do an Ewok adventure with Taika Waititi. Like I think that's a really good idea. If you're listening, Lucasfilm, I'm putting that in, getting back off the shelf, getting back in the game. Taika Waititi doing an Ewok adventure where the Ewoks actually can talk.
Caravan of Courage was scary.
Yes. Well, I saw it at the cinema. Did you see it at the cinema? We did get a cinema release in Australia. Yeah, I think we've touched that before.
Yep. Up in far north Queensland when we were visiting my nana.
I don't remember where I saw it, but I saw it with one of my good friends at the time and his family. And we didn't have a cinema near us as well growing up, so we must have gone somewhere to some sort of regional centre like Morwell or Traralgon or something like that. Might have been maybe Wonthaggi, which is a bit closer, which is where I saw Return of the Jedi growing up. That cinema is still there. I think it's still just one screen.
Yeah. Well, where I saw it, it's not a cinema, but during the day, it's like a town hall type of thing. And they have a screen and a really big projection. They've got, I think, like they've still got their like 100-year-old one as well as a newer one to project onto a screen, and they bring out like basically deck chairs.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I was
it's the only one in the region.
I think I've told this story before, but I was in Leongatha a few weeks ago, which is where I grew up, and they have this thing in Leongatha called the Daffodil Festival, and it's exactly what you think it is. It's people who, competition and plants and things. And my aunt, who's sort of retired back down there where she grew up, she entered some of her garden stuff in the Daffodil Festival. So I went with her on the Sunday to help her pick up some of her, bring her prize-winning flowers home from their flower pots and things. So it was in the town hall. So I hadn't been in the town hall in ages and ages and ages. And it's quite nice in there. And it just reminded me of when I think I was in about grade 6. I can't remember the year exactly. 1991 sounds about right. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves came out.
Such a good movie.
And they were showing Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves at the town hall. Now, we didn't have a cinema. The local closest, Lingatha has a cinema now, but at the time, Wonthaggi, which is half an hour away, was the closest cinema. It was this big deal of like the whole town came out to see Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which was playing at the town hall. And I was there too. And it broke down after the first reel.
Oh, no.
So I don't know whether whoever they got to run it, maybe they didn't know you had to change the reels or whatever. Maybe they just, because back, you'd have to put the thing and put the other one in. And for whatever reason, there was like a good 15-minute delay until they'd figured out that they had to change the thing over. So that for some reason, that Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves and the Lingatha Town Hall are always intrinsically linked in my memory.
Good movie.
Good movie. R.I.P. Alan Rickman. I wonder if it stands up, actually.
Yeah.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
It probably might be a little bit too intense for the girls at the moment. Although it's weird. It's sort of... My Olive and Sloane, who are 9 and 5, Sloane's nearly 6. They're like what they're up for watching. Really, I can't get my head around it. Sometimes Sloane will be a lot more hardcore, and then sometimes Olive will be a lot more hardcore. Like we watched Pirates of the Caribbean the other day, and Sloane checked out after about 20 minutes. She's like, I don't like this. It's too scary. And Olive, who's actually usually a bit more scaredy, was just enthralled. She loved it. She's just gone, that was great. And then sometimes other things will be the other way around. Olive will just like, I don't want to watch, I don't know what it is, something. And then Sloane will happily sit through it without, it's just a bit weird.
The opening scene, though, of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves is in like a jail during the Crusades. Yeah, it's intense. So, yeah.
Maybe we'll wait a little bit longer on that. We've got 4 Pirates of the Caribbean movies to get through now.
Encyclopedic knowledge of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, right. Jeez. We start the Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves podcast. So, yeah, look, it seems like Taika's taken a back seat at the moment. It was kind of funny because a couple of people, people like, oh, well, he hasn't done anything decent in that. It's like, I thought Next Goal Wins was very good, watchable. Yeah. Our Flag Means Death. I loved Our Flags Mean Death. I haven't seen any of Reservation Dogs, but apparently people love that. And I really like Time Bandits, which is very Taika Waititi. Like if it's not your vibe, and it kind of leans into the Python-ness of it as well. I thought that was really good. So I just think he just, it's just he's playing to his. People can't accept what he is. I think
he's got again that very Antipodean sense of humor, and it worked okay in Ragnarok. But I think it didn't work for other countries.
Harder.
Yeah. Whereas we're far more fine with silliness.
And that's always the danger of Star Wars. It's very easy to pigeonhole it into a style and a vibe and a feel, which I think a lot of directors struggle with. I think, which is why he might just be just sitting on the sidelines a little bit, which is a shame. But So, what else has been going on in Star Wars? Well, Skeleton Crew comes out soon. We got some more pictures of Skeleton Crew.
Yeah. So Jude Law, with an outrageous name that I still can't remember.
It sounds like Jude Law, doesn't it? It's kind of like, it's almost Jude Law. He's kind of like, well, just call me my regular name. I'm just going to look it up.
But wearing like a Lando shirt with a musket on his belt.
Do you reckon they have like Jod Narwood, a Force user, Jude. Yeah, maybe that was just sort of easy not to get confused. The Lando shirt. Do you think that's a style, like a brand, or do you think it's more like Lando's got a signature shirt? Like he's just kind of, he's just started his own shirt business.
Well, I mean, it'd be great if he started his own shirt business. Now, there's a movie for Taika.
The Lando shirt business.
Yeah, but you never know. I mean, could be, from the Gap or
It's just like a standard. It's just sort of the standard Star Wars shirt because I've been playing Star Wars Outlaws at the moment, and you can get that shirt. Like it's one of the I think there's actually a couple of cut things that are in that sort of cut, so to speak. So it must be a pretty common sort of thing around the galaxy. Star Wars Outlaws pretty good. Enjoying it a lot. Very cute companion, Catherine. I know you're not a gamer, but very cute, helpful little furry friend. Nick, so I think you'd be all over. You're like, if I could just watch the cut scenes or something.
Yeah, I'm just all about watching furry companions having fun yet safe adventures.
Yeah, he's pretty safe. There's one bit where he gets kind of I won't spoil. He gets kidnapped in a mission and you rescue him, but for the most part, there is a very, very
those kidnappers get their asses whipped because
well, it's
I will not stand.
No spoiler. Well, it is a spoiler. Well, it doesn't. Everybody's seen the trailer, but Jabba the Hutt basically you get sold to Jabba the Hutt and you got to go rescue him from Jabba's palace, and it's very cool to be able to just walk. And I think they've done it. It's just walk around Jabba's palace and just sort of get a feel for the location and things like that. And actually, there was one bit where you kind of finish the mission and you talk to Jabba and he's kind of like, hey, if you do some work for me, I'll let you go, kind of thing. And you walk out the main exit, which is, where Luke walks down the stairs at the start, kind of bit.
Yeah.
And the first thing I did when I got to walk out those stairs, like there's the dangle, when Leia comes and she hits the chimes on the way down. I'm going, if these chimes don't ring when I run to this game's stuffed. Who would have missed that? And I made it straight for it and I went ding, ding, ding. And I'm like, all right, you get a pass, Star Wars Outlaws. The chimes rang on the thing. That's all I asked.
Surely you've got to put out a poll of everyone who's up there, how many people walked into those chimes.
I know. I'll bet you there's plenty of people who did. It's quite funny because you walk in and you can, once you've kind of got the bit, you've got free range to walk around the sort of main area. And I'm kind of going, all right. And you walk up, and because it's set between Empire and Jedi, like Han's on the wall. So you walk up and you're kind of like looking at that and going, oh, so I go to the right here. That's like the enclave where Jabba was hiding behind the curtain kind of thing. Yeah. And I'm looking at it. I know it's a video game and who knows the scale. Very small space. It's probably, I'm going, there is no way that they fit all those people in there. That doesn't seem quite accurate and be able to hide. But we've talked about it before. Like they're just like, shh, be quiet. They're kind of like, and I was kind of going, all right, so where's the band? Well, this is going on here. Are they standing? I was just kind of trying to work out the geography of Jabba's palace.
No.
Good fun though. Good, yeah, no, little furry friend. There's a very cool bit in it where you can go to certain planets, or you go to every planet and you go to like their markets and you can buy like a specific meal to the planet. So say if you're on Tatooine or somewhere, and then Nick's your little friend comes up and there's a little mini game where you're both eating the food and things and you push the button. He's like, oh, Catherine would love that.
Oh, yes, because, well, the latest here is that I built my furry friend a lovely enclosure with a cat door. You won't go out into it.
Yeah.
Scared.
Well, this is like in this game, you just hold a button and you're like, run over there and distract that stormtrooper so I can whack him in the head, or sick him. You basically like do sick him Rex. Remember sick him? Like you can go sick him Nix, and you just go up and like, and then distract them, and you can punch him in the back of the head and stuff. But it's good. Like I like it. It's not an all guns blazing game, so it's not like Survivor where Jedi Survivor. Where you're like, oh, there's 10 stormtroopers. I'm going to run in with my lightsaber and cut them all down. Yeah. It's very much like, well, you've got a blaster. There's a bunch of people. You've either got to sneak around or you've got to find a way through. And if you're not really down for taking your time and sneaking, might not be for you. But I'm quite happy to sit there and sneak around. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm not that far in either, so I've managed to avoid spoilers. I'm not quite sure what happens in the rest of it, but it's good. Graphics are good. Characters good. All the voice acting is cool. Very Star Wars. Very feels very. And they've also done a really good job. There's a bit where you go to Mos Eisley. They've made it look like an absolute shithole, and it feels like yeah,
a hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah, you go in and it's obviously based on the movies and especially the special edition where it's bigger. And you just sort of walk down alleyways, and it's just, there's just crap everywhere and broken metal and burn. And I'm just like, yeah, this just feels like a really shady town. It does the job quite well. Yeah. Get into it. One day, Catherine, you can get yourself an Xbox or something, and you can.
No, no, I'm behind enough on like television shows that I want to watch without adding like
Becoming a
hours.
gamer.
Yeah.
It's true. I don't have that much time to do it either, so I have to sort of carve out time every now and then to do stuff. But yeah, it's definitely, I'm really enjoying it. I'll have to get Hawes or somebody on who's dug a little deeper on it, I think, and get some opinions on it. What else is going on? This is just like the general catch up on Star Wars news we've missed, Catherine. Oh well, James Earl Jones passed away.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. It's that thing of, okay, 93,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, it sort of hits you and you go, oh, okay, yes, he's in all of these things that I love. And I saw him doing Driving Miss Daisy with Angela Lansbury
Who's been
here in
gone for
Melbourne.
ages. Oh, you actually saw it live?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't even know they did that.
Yeah, so it was like a Broadway show.
Hang on,
and
Angela Lansbury wasn't the original. Right, so it was...
yeah, like out here in this years ago, I went and saw that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was just like a pretend little car kind of, just sort of just like stage driving on a...
Yeah, because the movie was based on a play originally.
Right.
And then it got all revived. And yeah, James Earl Jones was, the Morgan Freeman role.
Right. Wow, that must have been awesome.
Yeah.
Did you just go just because you liked the movie, or because it was James Earl Jones, or just a bit of column A, column B?
Yeah, a bit of all of that because, of course, I was a Murder, She Wrote fan back in the day. So was Mum. James Earl Jones, tick, good.
Yeah.
Movie, tick, good.
What year was this?
Yeah. I don't know.
But we're talking like the 90s kind of thing, or
2000s, like early 2000s maybe. I really don't know. I'd have to go digging, like internet sleuthing, or go through if we've still got the program somewhere.
You got the merch. You went and bought you bought the t-shirt. I loaded up on my Driving Miss Daisy merch. I got a plastic steering wheel, and I got a t-shirt, and
I do like to get the program.
Says "You're my best friend" t-shirt with "You're my best friend" written on it. Was she?
I do like to get the program.
I haven't seen that movie in years. Was she particularly racist, or was it just she was just kind of rude? Was it like a racial thing in it, or was it just more like she just mean to everyone?
I mean, she was racist because it was like the 50s.
Yeah.
South.
Pretty standard old lady 50s babe. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was that, okay, yes, you're fine to drive me, but
that's about it. Yeah.
That's it. So it was sort of that, not quite breaking down of racial stereotypes, but it was sort of her seeing past her own prejudice in a way. But directed by Peter Weir, if memory serves, who's an Australian.
Oh, right. Like Gallipoli Peter Weir, Truman Show Peter Weir.
Yeah.
Master and Commander, one of the most underrated movies of all time. I love Master and Commander.
Yeah. Picnic at Hanging Rock.
Picnic at Hanging Rock. I mean, I think Witness as well. Oh, dude, get on the Peter Weir train, everybody. Very, very good. One of our best. Right. Well, there you go. I think the only person I know who's ever seen James Earl Jones performing in real life. Has he done a celebration? Certainly none that we've been to.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe back.
Did he even do
those early ones?
Did he was he an autograph guy? I don't remember seeing people kind of busting out their signed James Earl Jones stuff.
Not from memory.
I feel like he did photos or conventions or anything really.
No, but he was always working.
Well, that's
really.
the thing. He was always. He didn't sort of have to Well, the thing is, I don't know anymore because like Ewan McGregor does conventions, and I remember being so adamant that he would never do conventions because he didn't need to. But that feels like it's a completely legitimate, way to earn these days, no matter how famous you are.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like in the 80s and 90s, James Earl Jones was working a lot. You think, like Field of Dreams and all these other things. The Lion King.
Mm.
Like, he was the only voice that they brought back for the quote unquote live action
Yeah, the computer
Lion
one.
King. I'm still mystified. I remember when they announced they're going to do a real life like Lion King. I'm like, oh, they're going to do a film of the musical.
Yeah.
Which is great. I was all excited about that, and then it wasn't that, and I'm like, oh. Because if you've ever seen Lion King the musical, go see it because it is fantastic. The way they do it, the masks, the puppetry.
The my kids are really split on some of them. Like that Lion King on like live action or live action inverted commas, computer, whatever. But like OG Lion King all the way. They prefer real life Aladdin though, so they prefer the more recent one. Maybe they don't understand all the, they don't know who Bob Hope is or Jack Nicholson for all those like references that Robin Williams is doing from 1989, or you know what I mean? Like, that's completely probably over their heads. But Beauty and the Beast, I think the original, the Peter Pan one is the new Peter Pan, the Peter Pan and Wendy one. So they're a bit of everything. It might just depend on the mood. Like Oliver likes Maleficent as well, which I guess is Sleeping Beauty technically. He's already kind of signed his voiceover, hadn't he, James Earl Jones? Like, we'll get AI Darth Vader voice. I mean, at least he was alive to consent.
Yeah, and I think he recorded a lot of words and sounds so they could mix things, and he gave clearly written consent with a full knowledge of, okay, this is what you can use it for.
Yep. Because I think, it's clear. I mean, in Rogue One, it's obviously him, but it's obviously old. The voice is older. You can tell. But then in Kenobi, I think it's the computer version, or at least it's computer assisted, and it's spot on. Like the pitch is just right as it is to, like, that's the best one. But then obviously if you get into video game, like I think if they're going to use, like, I hope they just don't use it for everything. Like, I would rather them have, in the case of like a Lego or a video game, just get someone to do a Vader voice. Like if you're doing a prestige, like a film or a live action thing that has some weight behind it, then use the Vader voice so it sounds accurate. But for everything else, if it's just like Vader going, oh, I've got to go down the store and I've got to get some, Vader chocolates or whatever it is, whatever they put in something, like, just get someone to do that. You don't need to sound exactly like James Earl Jones for that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The Rogue One Vader, we all knew it was James Earl Jones, so we forgave it, but it's an older man's voice, obviously. But Kenobi, they could clean it up a bit and get it pitched.
Do you think they've
right? And they also blended it a bit with Hayden's in certain places.
Yeah. Like, do you think they've already kind of got a deal for Tony Daniels? I mean, who's the other ones you'd have? Tony Daniels, Frank Oz, probably the only other ones that you.
Frank Oz, I'm not sure of because I don't know how good the relationship is there.
They did Last Jedi, but that was a full performance. That wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, because obviously they use a different person for Yoda for everything else.
But Anthony Daniels, definitely, because 3PO is always Anthony Daniels. It's never anyone else.
That's the thing. Like, he fronts up for everything.
Yeah.
But one day he's not there. He might be like, oh, no, I would rather get the Daniels 3000 in there and do it like that.
I'm sure that there would be a contract or something written or being written as we speak.
He's like, just bring me a bucket load of cash in a basement under Celebration and let's just do it there. Let's not get people involved. It's just weird. It's such a funny relationship, isn't it, that he has with Star Wars? Like, it's so love-hate. Like, he'll cash the checks, but there's also, like, I guess he's just been in the game so long and never really stepped out that he just knows how to maximize. Going, well, I don't need to play by your convention rules. This is just how I'm going to do it. Because I got burnt by your convention in whatever 1993, and I'm just not going to do that anymore. But you still want me to be there, and I'll happily come on the panel and plug my book. But you're not getting, you're not taking Daniels' money. I did like the line in the Lego thing where it was Beach Bum Luke. So he was like, "Oh yeah, you got to look after Luke's money, or you're not getting your hands on Luke's money." I just thought I thought that was very funny. And you just forget, like, Mark Hamill's one of the best voice actors in the world, so you kind of go, "Oh yeah, of course this is brilliant," because he's the king of voice acting. So of course the deliveries and the jokes are great.
Yeah, Hamill has a great time with stuff like that, just being allowed to go loose.
Yeah, and it was good because it was age appropriate as well. I think every now and then he'll do one for sort of 20-year-old Luke, and it just again it's the thing. I was like, oh, this is just a 65-year-old man doing not even really just doing his voice. But anytime they get sort of older Luke, it works quite well.
Yeah.
I don't know. So there aren't that many original cast members of Star Wars left now, is there? So what have you got? You've only got Harrison and Hamill. I mean, Carrie's gone, Peter Mayhew's gone. Well, Tony Daniels, obviously. Kenny Baker's gone. James
Billy D. Williams.
Oh, Billy D's still there, yeah. So that's James Earl Jones was the last, as far as the people who performed Vader. So you go, David Prowse, was the body.
Yeah.
Bob Anderson was sort of doing the sword fighting. Sebastian Shaw.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what I was going to say, Sebastian Stan, was it, or whatever it is. I'm like, no. Yeah. But he's not doing Star Wars, all right? Stop trying to recast him and everything. They've all sort of passed on. So he was sort of the last of the OG Vaders. I mean, obviously Hayden is still a youngish man, so he'll carry the torch for hopefully till 93.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Like, I mean, Wedge,
Dennis Lawson, yeah. I feel like you're getting a little bit into the weeds a little bit then, and all of a sudden it's kind of like when you hear about it's the last surviving World War One person, and it's they're 104 and they get wheeled out at all the things, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is the last surviving cast member of Star Wars and whoever it's going to be. But yeah, it's I guess when a film's nearly 50 years old, that's sort of, it's not surprising, really, is it?
Oh, it hurts whenever you think of that number, that it's so long ago, because in this last week there's been all of these things of, oh, it's been 30 years since Friends premiered, it's been 20 years since Lost premiered, and
I saw 25 years since Spaced today as well.
Yeah.
Hurts. I saw the Lost one as well, and I've kind of gone, oh yeah. Well, I remembered because I watched the first episode of Lost in London, and I only just moved to London. I feel like they must have got it. They must have been on delay because I didn't move to London until 2005. So because I was going, that can't be right, because I saw Lost for the first time in London in March 2005. I'm going, well, obviously, back in the day, you could actually just put stuff out and make people wait because you couldn't get it from anywhere.
Yeah, well, notoriously, we didn't get Friends for a while because Channel 7 had the first season and then Channel 9 had the rest of them afterwards. So Channel 7 just weren't putting it out. So we were ages before we got Friends here.
Did they show it on 7 to start with? I do remember them kind of going, Friends, the phenomenon, blah, 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 is coming. But I don't remember ever seeing if it was on 7 or... I mean, 9 was where it was.
Yeah.
But I don't remember ever going, well, maybe it was on 7. Watch the first bit on 7, but...
I think they eventually did a deal. But, like paying out the nose. But I think 7... sort of did we'll maybe show these top episodes of season 1. It's like,
it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because they're going, well, what do? They go, well, we either show this thing that is really popular and we get the hit on it, but then we just give a win to our rivals that will continue with this show, or do we basically just not do it I mean, I have seen a lot of Friends. I don't know whether you probably could eventually start at the second season, and it wouldn't really make that much difference, maybe, but who knows? It's, they're
Yeah.
still showing. It's like they still show Seinfeld every night in Australia, like on live on free to air television. I know you got a few more channels these days, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was an odd one, of just not showing it out of spite, which is the best reason to do a lot of things.
It's funny when occasionally Star Wars will be on a different TV channel. I think when it gets shown now, I think it might be on 7, but it was always on Channel 10 growing up. Like it always
Yeah.
felt like Channel 10 had Star Wars, which is certainly where I recorded it off the TV on VHS and things like that. So even now and then, not that I watch any free-to-air TV, I've seen an ad and they're just like, tonight on Mate, it's Empire Strikes Back or whatever. And I'm like, well, it doesn't belong on that channel. That's weird. It's 30 years ago it was on Channel 10 on Sunday night TV or whatever it was.
Yeah, Sunday night at the movies.
Yeah, with Bill Collins.
God, that was a good show.
It was really digging into the time capsule on this one. Now, is there anything else? We've touched on Skeleton Crew. A few more pictures, a few more pirates. Was there anything that came up in before we kick this away? Any other major news?
Not a lot. I think there was like that rumor thing about a pirates.
That's right. Well, the funny thing was on that, because I saw that list. I don't know if did you actually see the picture?
No.
And it was basically like this. It was just like a block of text, and it had a bunch of different shows, and it was just going, oh, it was, oh God, I can't remember what it was. All this stuff coming on straight. Maybe it was like Stranger Things season 6 and Great British Break Off, something season 7, and in there it had Star Wars Pirates on there. But above that, it said, and I'm pretty sure it was sick, it said Slow Horses season 6, and I'm like, oh, Slow Horses season 6. Who gives a stuff about Star Wars Pirates? That means they're making at least 2 more. Maybe it was 5, but it was at least like 1 more season of Slow Horses. If you're not watching Slow Horses, like, what are you doing with your life?
Yeah. Oh, we did see our first look at Jill White as a pirate.
That's another one of those sort of former 80s stars. Obviously, Steve Urkel. Were you a family? Was it Family Matters?
Yeah, Family Matters. Yes, I watched Family Matters because, of course, I did.
I don't know if you can answer this question or not, but the dad in Family Matters,
Carl Winslow.
Is he playing the same character as he does in Die Hard, or is it a different character?
This is the great theory. Like, this is one of those deep conspiracy theories, because obviously Family Matters is set in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Die Hard is in LA, famously. Did he decide to move after all of that, shift cities, to go and bring up his family there to hide out from all the stuff going down? Like, it's one of those deep, there are, I'm sure.
He doesn't have the same character name though, does he?
No.
Hang on,
I'm
going to
change cities, change his name.
Yeah, but although he's still a cop.
I think the deeper one is what happened to the youngest Winslow sister. Because, a sibling just went missing.
Reginald.
After a sibling or so.
This is the wrong way around. Carl Winslow was the character name.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reginald Val Johnson plays Carl Winslow, and then let's put in Die Hard.
Yeah, I'm sure I've read like some conspiracy theories.
So Sergeant Al Powell in Die Hard, and then Carl Winslow. It's not, I mean, it could be changed to anything, but I mean, obviously they've gone off the star power that he had in Die Hard to get him, playing a cop. But I like that theory.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's going, I just need, John McClane to come and shoot this annoying neighbor in the head and spare me of the. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Do you think? He was a classic guy having an amazingly popular character. Urkel was, but he was a character. He was not like that in real life. He was putting on a character, but it was so big and popular that he never really escaped from that character. I know he's done voice work and done other stuff, but I mean, I don't think we're getting any Urkel with this character. I think he's...
Look, if they got the character to say in any tone, did I do that? I would point and laugh at the screen, but it would be too far.
It would be a step too far.
It
We
would be
don't know
too
what the
far.
tone of this show is. Like it feel like I've like it's going to be very. We've spoken about it before. A very Amblin Explorers, kids on bikes, ET sort of thing. So, I think we kind of get a feel of what exactly it's going to be. They'll be in danger, but never really in danger. Danger, kind of Goonies sort of. How inept do the bad guys need to be so it isn't too scary for these kids? But I don't know. Maybe you do Urkel it up. Maybe that's how you do it. But I don't know. Like if they're, I don't mind if that's the vibe. If the vibe is like kids on an adventure, and the baddies are a bunch of buffoons, Goonie style sort of thing, with maybe one or two competent people, and the rest are all a bit sort of boss, fine, whatever. It's Star Wars. Like let's do that. Let's lean into that. I'm totally fine with that. But I don't care. Like if knobheads come out and go like, oh, it's too kiddie, it's too whatever. It's just like, well, it's just a different vibe. It's all Star Wars. It's the melting pot of Star Wars, everybody. It doesn't matter. So if you're going to Urkel it up, Urkel it up.
Well, don't forget, he also was Stefan.
Ooh, maybe he'll just be really smooth. Or that would be quite funny if he was just, again, it was the dual personality. He had a smooth side and he had a meh side. It would just be hilarious if they, if he's Urkeling it up and there's all these Star Wars fans going, look at this freaking dork, man. It's like, look at you. I just can't take this nerd seriously, man.
The thing is, I think, is Urkel too old a reference? Because I know our age and maybe about 10 years younger,
I think the cutoff is probably if you're over 35, I'd say. Yeah, which is about right. We've aged ourselves, but yeah. Oh, for sure. And for most people, they probably won't even. But that's the thing also is like, well, a lot of people don't know the magic of Urkel. Who's rewatching Family Matters these days? So if you if you want to lean into that, it's like, yeah, well, let's get an Urkel-esque, let's lean into those comedic skills and do that. Like, I would actually kind of prefer that. Like, if you get, rather than just being like, well, I'm trying to be tough. I'm a pirate now. I'm tough. I'm like playing against my comedic instincts, which I'm sure if you went through his IMDb, he's probably got a bunch of roles where it's like he's trying to be tough and gritty and get away from that Urkelness. Like, lean into it. Like, embrace the thing that you do best. But I guess we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, like he's an example of someone who had a one episode role and it just kept on going.
Who knows? This could be the start of a whole new spin-off. But maybe this is what Star Wars Pirates is. Maybe it is Urkel is front and center. And it's the Urkel in Space Adventures, directed by Taika Waititi. And it all comes around again. We're talking Ewoks. All right, we've solved it. Great to catch up, Catherine. I hope you have a lovely rest of your holiday. I know it's just started, school holidays. Today's not very nice weather-wise, but you've still got a few more days, a week and a bit to go. Is there anything you want to plug or call attention to?
Not so much at the moment. If you're not watching Rings of Power, watch Rings of Power. It's good.
Does that drop tonight? Today? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I think. Apologies to everyone on my timeline. At some point in the next 12 months, you're going to be getting a lot of Survivor because
I think I say a lot of Andor. I'm like, well, there's the other one as well.
Well, there's that, of course, but also, Australian Survivor has announced sometime in 2025 a season called Australia versus World. No, it's not Australia versus the world. It's Australia versus world.
Like the world of carpets.
But the names they have announced had Survivor Internet just losing their minds. So,
all right. Well, you need to start I'm sure there probably are already a bunch of Survivor podcasts, but maybe you need to get niche on Survivor versus World. I know Claire Stribling's a big Survivor fan. Maybe you guys could team up and do a Survivor versus World
Yeah.
podcast or something. There you go.
I'll have to guide her through Australian Survivor Watch, which is a jump because American Survivor at the moment is 13 episodes and only 18 contestants and 26 days. Australian Survivor is 24 contestants, 3 episodes a week. So we get like 24 episodes and 47 days.
You seem like you're very busy. You'll have things to do all the way up until Skeleton Crew drops. So hopefully you will be with us for, we haven't really discussed it at all, but we will hopefully do Skeleton Crew reviews again. And hopefully we'll get Mole and Andy back.
Yes, please.
Think of a clever name. I'll work on that in the background. So you'll be on the latest for that, which is still about 2 months away. But you might be back before then. We'll probably do predictions and everything as we roll in. But have a lovely holiday. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me on.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. Again, these things come out when they come out. So you just have to wait and do things. We've got stuff that's going on. But we'll hopefully be back soon. Got a few more potential guests coming. And we'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.